Well, good morning, everyone. I've finally had the conditions to work on this composition that I've been looking at for several days. It was finally calm enough just a little bit ago to work on this with the view camera. And just a beautiful arrangement of dogwoods and some then nice overarching trees with some nice shapes. And I had a little bit of filtered sunlight for a while, which was nice. So I could use some film on it. Now it was also kind of going in and out of that filtered sunlight, and so I tried to shoot when the little veil of clouds was over the sun a little bit and kind of soften the shadows. So it was really tricky to meter, and I tried both Velvia 50, Provia 100, and Ektar 100 just to try to see if I could get something on this. So it'll be interesting to see which one of those performs better and how my metering technique worked. Boy, it's really hard when the light is changing very quickly. So hopefully, if nothing else, the Ektar will work. And it was my 450 lens on the Toho 4x5 view camera here. That's been a pretty typical focal length for me. I really like to reach out and sort of isolate these forest details, and so longer lenses work for that. And I'm back here in this neat picnic area working on this forest edge detail. So that's what I've done this morning, and it was supposed to be cloudy today, but boy, it hasn't turned out that way. Tomorrow's supposed to be rainy, so we'll have to see how that works out. But I'm going to just keep moving around today and seeing what else I can find. If we get the occasional soft filtered light, that's really nice, because then you get a little bit of shape to the trees, and that can be pretty exciting. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, and I'm going to keep on moving here and seeing what else I can discover. These films turned out okay. One is a little light, but I was able to correct for it in the scan. I like the rust-colored tones, which almost give these a past peak fall kind of look, while adding the dogwood leaves, which seems kind of unique. The sunlit exposure gives nice shape to the trees, and Velvia handled it very well. A bit later it was a little windy, so I switched to the Pentax for a while to work on a tree detail with a nice shape, and one panoramic image stitched together from 8 vertical frames. Well, after a lot of driving around and scouting around, I finally ended up on the banks of this river here and found a neat little subject across the river, kind of a white rock with a nice shape and a little reflection in the river, and then the nice green foliage over top of it. So I thought this would make a nice black and white image. So I set up my view camera here with the 200mm lens, no movements at all. and just exposed some T-Max 100. And I tried with no filter, and then I also did a green filter to see if I could make that foliage pop a little bit and separate that green foliage, just make it a little brighter. So we'll see how those turn out. And it's just a perfect, pretty still and nice overcast day it's turned into. So I'm really excited for the rest of the day to see what I can find. These are the conditions that I've always had here in the Smokies, not those sunny, windy days that I've had earlier in the trip. So really looking forward to more scouting and finding some more subjects under these wonderful conditions. I think the upper exposure here of both compositions are the ones with the green filter. I didn't really have a way to track which is which, but it looks to me like the brightest green foliage is brighter in these top exposures. I like the image on the left best, largely because of the arrangement of the white rocks, but unfortunately the exposure with the green filter had some wind motion in the foliage, possibly due to the longer exposure needed to account for the filter factor. So I went with the other exposure. But it looks like the green filter did help, so that was a good learning experience. Well, I'm back to a composition that I found a couple of days ago when it was bright and sunny, and now it's this beautiful overcast and actually a little bit of light rain off and on, so I've got the Versabrella up here again. But this is just a nice little curving branch kind of image, and it's just all green and then the dark trunks, and I just think it has a really nice shape, and so hopefully it's going to turn out well. I exposed mostly Velvia. It's got a really limited dynamic range, so the Velvia ought to work out great, but I also tried a little Provia just to be safe. So it should be fun, and no movements on the view camera, the 300mm lens, and just straightforward, just wait for the wind to stop and give it a couple 3 seconds. So pretty easy, and now I'm going to just pack up and keep driving down this road. This is a really neat road right along a little stream here, and it's a lot of fun and interesting subjects, so hopefully I'll find some more stuff before the day's over. Here's the Velvia from this scene, which handled the brightness range very well. In the video I said there were no camera movements, but actually I did use a good bit of front rise on this one so I could look up without pointing the camera up. This helps to keep the straight trees from converging, which is what happens if you point a camera up, and is one of the nice things about a view camera, allowing you to keep things looking more normal. There is some leaf movement in the film, but it blends into the forest pretty well and doesn't bother me as it's not very distracting. Well, I didn't have to go too far to find my next subject, actually just across the road and right by the river. This scene was a bit more contrasty, so I only tried Provia 100. It's a little bright up in this area, but I was able to control it in the scanning process and editing. Finally, I had one more image along the river made with the Pentax. It's interesting because this tree is leaning way out and growing over the water. Overall, it was a very productive day, and I'm quite happy with what I got. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.